Welcome back to Beyond the Numbers. I'm Bev Wakefield, and this is the podcast that breaks down the numbers in a way that actually makes sense and helps you build a business that supports your life, not the other way round. If you've ever found yourself saying, I am so busy, I'm working non-stop, but somehow I'm not actually moving forwards, then today's episode is going to land deeply, because this is the episode where everything begins to shift. This is where we move from operator to owner, from doer to architect, from being hidden inside delivery to becoming visible, influential, and truly strategic. And I'll be honest, this shift changed everything for me. Today, we're talking about a transition every business owner eventually meets at the crossroads, usually exhausted, overwhelmed, and ready for something different. It's the shift from operator to owner. So from doing the work to directing the work, from delivering everything to designing everything. This is the identity shift that completely changes the way your business grows, how your team functions, and how you feel inside the business. So let's dive in. When you start a business, you have to do everything. You're the rainmaker, the deliverer, the problem solver, the admin assistant, the marketeer, the decision maker, the visionary, and the energy that keeps the entire thing afloat. You are the centre of the universe. It's intense, it's messy, it's absolutely necessary. But here's the danger. What works at the beginning will choke the business later if you don't evolve. You cannot build something bigger while continuing to operate as the person who started it. That's the trap so many founders fall into, and they don't even realise they're in it. So let's be honest, in the early days, being the rainmaker feels like a superpower. You bring in the clients, you deliver the results, you build the reputation, and you drive the momentum. It's essential, it's thrilling, and it works until it doesn't. Because if you stay the rainmaker forever, you never become the architect. Your business becomes entirely dependent on you. Your team can never surpass you. Your time becomes the bottleneck. Your brand becomes you instead of the business. And in the beginning, rainmaker energy is fuel. Later, it becomes an anchor. Here's what nobody tells you. Your business cannot grow beyond the identity you hold of yourself. If at your core you still see yourself as the fixer, the rescuer, the only one who can get it right, the one who holds everything together, your business will keep shaping itself around that identity. But when you choose to step into the designer, the leader, the creator, or the architect, your business begins expanding to match the person you are becoming. Your identity is either the ceiling or the catalyst. So in the first few years of Vibrant, I was everywhere, holding everything together with sheer energy. I told myself, I'm helping, I'm supporting, I'm keeping standards high. But what I didn't realise was every time I stepped in, I stopped the team from stepping up. Every time I filled the gap, I reinforced the belief that I was indispensable. Every time I stayed behind the scenes, I stored our authority and visibility. And every time I said yes to delivery, I silently said no to leadership. Leadership isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, so the things you do really matter. This is the part I want to slow down. Understanding your zone of genius is one of the most transformative shifts you can make as a business owner. This model, created by Gay Hendricks in The Big Leap, shines a light on why so many founders burn out and why so many businesses plateau. Most entrepreneurs spend years, sometimes decades, working outside their genius without realising it. And it drains them, it exhausts them, and it limits the business. So let's break it down. So I want to take you through this model. This is called the Zone of Genius framework, and it was made by Gay Hendricks, and here's the big leap. So it's 4 different boxes. So incompetence, competence, excellence, and genius. Now, the zone of incompetence, these are the tasks you're just not naturally good at. They frustrate you, they drain your energy, they slow everything down. Now, the zone of competence, you can do these things, but many others can easily do them as well as you, or perhaps even better. So this is your admin, inbox, scheduling, basic tasks. They're necessary, yes, but not where your genius lives. Now, the zone of excellence, this is where most entrepreneurs get stuck. You're great at these things. Clients love you for them. Your team leans on you for them. You get instant results and immediate praise. But here's the trap. Your zone of excellence feels good, but it's quietly suffocating your growth. Because the business cannot scale beyond the person who is doing all that excellent work. This zone feels really safe, it feels comfortable and it feels familiar, but it does keep you small. And finally, the zone of genius. So this is the one where the work just lights you up. The work that feels like flow, like ease, like oxygen. It's the work you're uniquely gifted at. The work that energizes you rather than drains you. The work you could do for hours and feel more alive afterwards. So your genius might be seeing patterns, it might be communicating clearly, coaching, or maybe even leading or teaching. Other things could be creating frameworks, creating the vision for the future, speaking, and strategy. So this is your highest value, your deepest joy, your most powerful contribution, and it's usually the last thing founders give time to because everything else shouts louder. Our zone of genius creates 10 times more impact than your zone of excellence with half the effort. 10 times the impact, half the effort. This isn't about working less, it's about working where you are abundant, not depleted. And to do that, you cannot stay an operator, you cannot stay the fixer, you cannot stay the deliverer. Your genius requires time, space, boundaries, elevation, team support, clarity, and courage. So this shift from operator to owner is not operational, it is identity. So most founders start in on competence and competence, become brilliant at excellence, build a business around their excellence and get trapped delivering excellence, burn out and never get to genius, unless they intentionally move upward. The zone of genius, this is where the business grows. This is where you grow, this is where freedom lives, and this is where the fun lives. When I'm podcasting, coaching, speaking, building frameworks, I feel alive. That's my genius. When I'm stuck in delivery or admin or firefighting, I know I'm away from my genius. So I want you to think, what work exhausts me and what work expands me? Because your zone of genius is the work that expands you, and expanding you is what grows the business. There's a really important piece of becoming an owner that I didn't understand early on, and it's the idea of becoming a key person of influence, as coined by Daniel Priestley. Someone known, trusted, visible, recognised in their space. And here's the thing, I've always been great at relationships, connecting, networking, building trust. That part was natural to me. But podcasting, speaking on stages, hosting events, leading bold conversations, I didn't step into those things early on for one simple reason. I didn't have the capacity. I was too busy delivering, fixing, firefighting and building systems, growing a team and keeping everything moving. And when you're in that mode, even when you want to show up more boldly, there's just no space. Visibility feels like a luxury, content feels like a luxury, thought leadership feels like a luxury. But here's what I've realised, not putting myself out there didn't come from fear, it came from overload. And that's why this episode sits right in the middle of this series. Because becoming a key person of influence is not about ego, it's not about fame, it's not about being everywhere. It's about stepping into ownership. It's about creating demand instead of chasing it. It's about freeing yourself from being the only deliverer. It's about building authority so the business doesn't rely on you doing everything. And when I finally had the space to create content, to speak, to start the podcast, to build LOV Academy, I realised something powerful. I wasn't late. I was finally ready. Because visibility isn't something you force, it's something you grow into when you're no longer drowning. And that's the identity shift from operator to owner. Here's the truth. Owners don't appear magically. They're built through habit, design, and intentional scheduling. CEO time saved my business, even if it starts as 1 hour a week, because that 1 hour becomes a space to think, a space to plan, a space to prioritize. Space to step into the future version of yourself. No one gives you that space. You have to claim it. So if I started my business again, I would step into leadership sooner, stop hiding, build my voice, create content earlier and consistently, and block CEO time every week. I'd move towards my genius, not away from it. stopping rescuing, stopping over-delivering, designing the business I wanted, not the one I inherited from early survival mode. And I would remind myself, you cannot lead from behind your inbox. This week, I want you to sit down for 10 minutes and do a genius audit. Write down what work completely exhausts you, what work expands you and gives you energy, what work are you doing that someone else could do, what work are you the only person who can do this brilliantly? Then circle the energy-giving work. That's the start of your zone of genius. And next week, we're going to be building directly on this because we're talking about community. Because doing this alone is too heavy, too overwhelming and too isolating. It's time to find your people.